The next consists of piecewise functions. The best way to do this is for you to look at, well, x is less than 0 or equal, x is greater than 0. So, when I say find f of negative 2, the question is which of those you would use? A. Isn't negative 2, doesn't negative 2 fall right there to the left of 0? That means I'm going to use the associated function with it. I'm going to take the negative 2 and I'm going to cube it, and that would be, again, I'm going to work on a line I shouldn't, just so that you would see it. That would be f of negative 2. When I go for f of 0, the question is, which of those includes 0? And I notice the yellow includes 0. Do you see that? So I could tell from the beginning what I'm going to use. That is the 0 cubed, which is 0. Do you notice that 1 is in the blue region because 1 falls right there? So when I say what's f of 1, I have to use the blue function. The blue function is a constant. It's 3 no matter what. Where does the 4 lie? 4 lie in the blue. Because 4 is bigger than 1. And that would be, I will use the right function, which is a 3 again. I'm done. So the blue function is always a 3 regardless. It's fixed. It doesn't change. F of a would be really tricky. Why is that? Well, that's a bit hard in this case. Because I'm going to say f of a equals, what would that be? Well, it would be an a cubed if a is negative, or it would be a 3 if a is positive. Do you see the problem? I don't know what a is. A is a variable. If a happened to be less than 0, I would use the yellow. And if a happened to be bigger than 0, I would use the blue. So 2 values. And how about the next problem? Again, if you put a number line, that would save the day. If x is less than 1, I'm going to use this function. If x is greater than or equal to 1, I'm going to use this function. Well, g of negative 2, let's eyeball those. Where's negative 2? I know negative 2 is in the yellow, so this is going to use the yellow. Where is negative 1? Negative 1 is to the left. I'm going to also use the yellow. Where is 0? That's also to the left. I'm going to use the yellow. So what is g of negative 2? Well, I'm going to use the yellow on that. That's 1 over a negative 2 minus 1. Remember, that's the only thing that changes. That will be negative 1/3. Done. How about g of negative 1? That's 1 over negative 1 minus 1. That's negative 1/2. Done. What is g of 0? That is 1 over 0 minus 1. That's negative 1 over 1, which is a negative 1. What is g of t? Well, we have a problem. If t is less than 1, then that's going to be 1 over t minus 1. And if t is greater than or equal to 1, it's going to be t squared plus 1. Now I'm going to add one more. What if I want to find g of 3? Well, if I look at g of 3, I notice that 3 is to the right of 1. And if it's to the right of 1, I'm going to use the blue. The blue will be 3 squared plus 1. 9 plus 1 is a 10. So this is the only one that would use the blue. and there it is. So, different y values, you would evaluate them accordingly based on where you stand. That is, if the value is matching, we'll go for it, otherwise we don't. This is where we're really going to use this. We want to find this difference quotient formula. To do it, we need to find two values. We need to find f of a. We know f of a is 1 minus 3a. Done. We need to find f of a plus h. That is 1 minus 3 into a plus h. In this function, isn't that the only thing that will change? So if I take this and I say, okay, what does that equal? We would say f of a plus h minus f of a over h is going to equal 1, distribute the 3 in, minus 3a minus 3h minus 1 minus 3a all over h. That's 1 minus 3a minus 3h minus 1 plus 3h plus 3a, I'm sorry, my mistake, I'm getting excited here, all over h. You'll notice those two cancel out, and those two cancel out. And what I'm left with is negative 3h over h. That will be a negative 3. The key, this h will cancel every time. That's guaranteed. And it better cancel because of the algebra, not because you knew what I just told you and you canceled it by force. So, through the algebra, if you do the algebra right, this case should cancel out. How about this problem? Well, the same deal. If I want to go for f of a plus h minus f of a over h, now keep in mind this h must cancel out. F of a plus h I have to put that in two places. That would be a plus h squared minus a plus h plus 1 minus, parentheses, what is f of a? Well, that is a squared minus a plus 1 all over h. If I FOIL this, that's a squared plus 2ah plus h squared minus a minus h plus 1 minus a squared plus a minus 1 all over h. The a squares cancel out. The positive a and the negative a cancel out. The 1 and the negative 1 cancel out. I'm left with 2ah plus h squared minus h over h. If I factor an h out of the top, and if I cancel that, wouldn't my answer be 2a plus h minus 1? And the last of these examples would be the last problem. If I find f of a plus h minus f of a over h, f of a plus h, here we're going to replace it by two places. That's going to be a plus h over a plus h plus 1 minus, what's f of a? A over a plus 1 all over h. This is a complex fraction. The LCD is a plus h plus 1 times a plus 1.